Greetings and salutations, pipe pals and gals. Holy smoking pipe padre, coming back at you for my Christmas video. So how y'all doing tonight? Okay. It is December the 5th, and I'm here to make a very special video. But first, lay housekeeping. So, I am smoking probably one of my original pipes, which was this Joby. And I bought it, I think, when I was in college. Yes, I did. This pipe has a history, but I won't tell it to you because it's personal. But I'm smoking appropriately enough. Let's see if I can get some Boswell's Christmas cookie. How appropriate. And I'm also drinking out of my snowman coffee mug, a cup of delicious coffee. So I'm wishing all of you a very, well, right now at the making of this video, I want to say happy holy Advent. Yeah. Because technically, we aren't celebrating Christmas. Bah humbug. But I wanted to get on here on this beautiful winter night. Now, we had snow a week ago, and it's all melted. I'm not heartbroken over that, let me be honest with you. So, yeah. I mean, technically, we're still in autumn. You know, what, December 21st? And they've kind of messed that all up now. Maybe it's the 22nd, maybe it's the 23rd, maybe it's the 20th, I don't know. But traditionally, it used to be on the 21st, you know, the winter solstice. So anyway, but we won't go, we won't go there. I'll save that rant maybe for another time. So yeah, I'm here to make a kind of an announcement. Well, it's an announcement, but it's a milestone announcement. Yeah. And very personal, important date tomorrow for me. And maybe some of you might kind of figure it out. Yeah. Maybe some of you might actually figure it out. If you've watched my videos, and if you have, I feel sorry for you. But I know I've talked about this on more than one occasion. I don't talk about it a lot like other issues that I probably am like a broken record to most of you. But, hold on a second. Got to get some coffee out of my snowman coffee cup. Yeah. Using my iPhone 15, so I'm not using my beautiful Sony with that product placement focus. So sorry about that. But maybe some of you might be able to figure it out, and I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. Got a couple things I want to run by you first. Hope you're all doing well. I'm happy to say that I'm currently enjoying some pretty good health. And I closed my rings, my Apple Watch rings. I started December 1st last year, 2022. And believe it or not, every single blessed day, I closed them rings. I did. And even when I think I had COVID. No, I came down with COVID before December 1st. It was like the end of October. So I didn't have any cold. I think I had maybe a cold or something maybe during winter. But my back went out, and that was where it got really challenging. Around March, my back went out, and so I had to figure out a way to do it. And I did it by kind of compromising a little bit, but I still did it. And so a couple of days ago, today is the December the 5th. December the 1st, I actually I completed 365 days and plus one, I guess, starting a new year of exercise. I'm going to try to keep going as long as I can. Yeah. Okay, so just a lot of maybe current event things I might want to quickly talk about. Did you by any chance see the new Tesla Cybertruck? Man, I'm probably going to try putting a video on. Maybe I'll just put some screenshots on. But apparently, well, not apparently, but the Tesla, at least the one that they showed, appears to be bulletproof. Excuse me. Appears to be bulletproof. Now, I'm guessing, well, then again, I don't know. Now, I actually saw a Tesla Cybertruck last week. I was driving by my favorite coffee shop, Tahoe House, and I saw a Cybertruck pulling out. I went, oh my gosh, it's a real, I mean, I wouldn't say I almost got in an accident, but I almost could have gotten in an accident because I was staring at this truck. So anyway, but they're out there in the wild. Now, the one they showed on this TV, this YouTube video, they were shooting Tommy guns at it and 45s at it, I guess, and shotguns, and the bullets did not go through the stainless steel body. Now, I guess that did crack some of the windows. I don't think the windows are actually bulletproof, but they might as well try to make the windows somewhat bulletproof, or the whole thing is kind of bulletproof. Now, I'm guessing that the actual consumer models that people buy won't have that same grade of steel, stainless steel. That's what I'm guessing. So anyway, but still, it was impressive, I have to say. Cybertruck bulletproof. Okay, I mean, you know, and then they had a F-150, a brand new 2023, maybe 2024 F-150, and well, you wouldn't want to be sitting in that vehicle as opposed to the Cybertruck, at least the one they were shooting at. So anyway, and speaking of Elon Musk, go F yourself, right? Mr. Go F himself, go F yourself himself. Say that fast 3 times. I guess he's kind of put Disney and Bob Iger on notice. Like, it could be another another Bud Light moment for Disney. I don't know. It could be. I mean, you know, I know, like I said, I'm kind of a broken record on certain subjects, and I guess I'll give you a little stocking stuffer and really not go deep into that whole issue like I normally would. But I just think that I want to talk about it from a kind of an oblique way, though, because I have a lot of YouTube people that I like to watch, and the majority of them are young people now. They're really, you know, they're just taking off in life, and maybe they're in their mid-20s or early 30s, and they're just, you know, they're tearing it up, and they're living life large on YouTube, and they got big followings, and they got fun videos, and they have some style, and they have some talent, and they're good. I really enjoy watching their videos. And I have to say, I'd say maybe 65% of the people that I've actually reached out to on YouTube, I mean, I don't have like relationships with them, and they wouldn't consider me a friend, let alone an acquaintance. But the thing is that some of them have responded to some of my questions and my comments. Sometimes people will either give me a thumbs up, and they'll chime in and they'll say something along the same lines as that I'm sharing. But there are times that people clearly, vehemently are opposed to my viewpoint. And it's just kind of sad, because some of the young people, I think in their hearts, and then I think they can see the rightness of, say, you know, conservatism as opposed to communism. I guess that's the dichotomy I'll slice it up in tonight. And yet they tend to sound you know, and their general comments and everything, kind of, you know, like they'd be perfectly at home and okay with a conservative viewpoint, and sometimes they get really angry, and then, you know, I guess they don't like the fact that I leave sometimes kind of comments that are more conservative or more traditional or whatever, and it's like, but if you could just hear yourself speak, you see the problem, and yet you're not willing to admit that the solution is not wokeism. But again, you can't talk about wokeism or else you get shadow banned or you get canceled or what have you. So, you know, I guess they understand that. It's like, you know, I can't talk about that, you know, and I don't agree with what you just said because basically it's going to get my algorithm all messed up now. You know, it's like, you know, they probably delete my comment. But, you know, it's like, you know, you're a very intelligent young person. You're out there busting your butt to make a living. You seem to have some pretty good moral values, and yet when somebody makes a comment that might, you know, maybe like, you know, there's only two genders, or, you know, I saw a video the other day about lobotomies. Oh man, I didn't realize how you know, the ice pick lobotomy, that was a real thing. I didn't know that. I mean, I thought most lobotomies were all done surgically by a trained surgeon, and this ice pick lobotomy thing, that was the kind of like the fast food version of it. It was just creepy and horrific all at the same time. They just basically took an ice pick and, you know, shoved it up in between your eye and into your brain and did a little scramble egg thing, and you're done. And it was horrific. And believe it or not, I know, and that was in the middle 50s to 60s, I guess. You know, they kind of thought, hey, this is great. This is, you know. And to be sure, there were some people that seemed to benefit from it, but the majority, it basically turned them into vegetables or little zombies, you know. And I just got to say that the transgender thing probably, you know, 50 years from now, people are going to look back and go, how could people have cut off their genitalia? You know, how could they have done that to themselves? And how in the society that permitted that to happen? Man, boy, there's really no difference. And in fact, it's just horrific what people are doing to be politically woke and correct, and the people that are saying, well, I would never do that, you know. Yeah, probably you wouldn't, but you live in it. You're allowing the society to dilute people. You know, you're not speaking out against it. So anyway, but all of these young people that are on YouTube, they're good people. But unfortunately, I think they're afraid to speak against the woke narrative. But not Elon. Oh, no. Gotta love him, you know. I've always had questions about him, but it does seem like, you know, every year he gets a little more, do I dare say, you know, conservative, and he kind of realizes that some of this stuff is really, it's evil. It's just downright evil. And he's not afraid in any way, shape, or form to say it like it is and not worry about the consequences. So again, I'm not I'm not trying to promote Elon Musk, but it's just like, you know, somebody that you kind of thought, well, I don't know if I really like this person, you know, because of what I've heard about them. You know, basically what I've heard is a lot of the hearsay. Do I dare say it sounds like somebody else? What's his name? I won't mention his name, but he kind of reminds me of this guy right here. You know, people would say all these bad things about the guy, and yet I've never heard anything from his own mouth that confirms that he believes in those things. You know, it's like, but the things I hear are positive things, and I do believe that, unlike another guy, some village has lost his idiot, who has ruined the economy, ruined our foreign policy, ruined our security in this country, the other guy, you know, he was kind of moving things in the right direction. I mean, making us stronger and to some extent even more unified. I mean, but unfortunately, the woke people, it's the same people that have brought you all this other woke nonsense, are the ones that are attacking, you know, good people and trying to promote idiots. Okay, yeah, okay. I think that was pretty PC the way I put those things. Yeah. Okay. So, but anyway, so Elon Musk and the Cybertruck and Bob Iger, Bob Ogre, you know. Hey Bob, how about a Bud Light, Bob? Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. And then the other thing I want to talk about a little bit is the Napoleon movie. So Napoleon movie, and I haven't seen it. I don't know if I even will see it at this point. I mean, the trailers at first I thought were good, but then when they stopped playing just the cinematic stuff and then they started having the characters start dialoguing, and when I noticed that Joaquin Phoenix was not doing a French accent, I'm like going, wait a minute. That doesn't seem like Joaquin Phoenix throws himself into these roles. You know, he does everything. He changes his whole physique. He'll starve himself to lose, you know, like 100 pounds. He will do all sorts of really, you know, extreme things to get into character. And for him to confect an accent, I don't think would be impossible or hard for him at all. I mean, he basically was able to sound just like Johnny Cash singing. That was not, now I've been told that was not dubbed by some other actor. Now a lot of Hollywood actors, they can't sing, and so they just bring somebody in and they lip sync it and they put the dub underneath it, and nobody really knows. Well, everybody usually knows the difference. There's something gives it away eventually. You know, it's bad, like bad CGI. You know, it's like a bad Godzilla movie. But although I want to talk a little bit about Godzilla -1. That seems like an awesome movie, folks. I'm telling you. In fact, I think getting back to the woke thing, the people in Hollywood are kind of embarrassed because this little, I think, $5 million Japanese movie is kicking the butt in the box office, and all the quote-unquote big woke Hollywood movies are just going down in flames. But this new Godzilla -1, oh, people are just celebrating this movie. It's kind of, now when I say it's historically based, I mean, Godzilla is not a real creature. I mean, I hope I didn't hurt your feelings, Gary. I know that you probably believe that Godzilla is real, but let me be the first one to tell you that he's fictional. He's not real, Gary. Okay, so just if you're wondering, Gary, yeah, he's not real. But anyway, this Godzilla movie from Japan is just, wow. People are making, they just can't say enough good about it. So anyway. But getting back to Napoleon, good old Napoleon, you know, when I kind of, and so I realized that this is a, okay, Ridley Scott. Okay, I got it now. All right, so what I would say is that it's not really, from what I can understand, it's not a Joaquin Phoenix film. It's a Ridley Scott film, and Ridley Scott's all about the big, you know, epic cinematic things. Character development, not so much. Okay, just maybe enough to kind of tell the story a little bit to limp it on to the next big cinematic thing. And unfortunately, when I saw the movie and I saw that Joaquin Phoenix was going to be the character, you know, playing Napoleon, I thought for sure that this was going to be an awesome biopic. Really, really good. Getting into, excuse me, you know, the intricacy of Napoleon, bringing him to life, making him three-dimensional. I really, really believe that was going to be a great film. And at first, I was really looking forward to seeing this film. But once I began to see more of the clips, the trailers, and just saw kind of how pathetic and how Joaquin Phoenix kind of just, I don't want to say phoned it in, but it kind of looks like that. He was kind of like a two-dimensional cutout character, you know, an NPC almost. So I don't know if I will actually go and see it when it comes to our little theater up here. I might, but I might just wait till it comes out on Apple, you know, streaming. But I was really disappointed. And if that wasn't enough to make me disappointed, a lot of reviews really confirmed my suspicions about the whole thing. So, yeah, so he, it just, like I said, it's not a Joaquin Phoenix film, it's a Ridley Scott film. Should have been a Christopher Nolan film, I don't know. So, anyway, it's an interesting, I mean, I like those big cinematic movies, providing, there's a real, there's a character, payoff. You really get a sense that, you're getting a glimpse into this person, a real person in history. That they really bring something, they really bring that character to life. I'm a little disappointed still in the Oppenheimer film. I think that they just, I think instead of trying to tell stories, just like maybe focus on maybe just one or two aspects of a person, because what they tried to do with Oppenheimer, they tried to do, I think, with Napoleon, is they just tried to tell his whole chronological history. And I just don't know if that's really helps anybody. I mean, if you want to get a historical background on Napoleon or Oppenheimer, there's lots of really great documentaries out there that can do that. And some of them even kind of delve into a little bit more substantive analysis of their character, of their personality, persona, their likes and dislikes, their beliefs and things, and all that. So they just didn't seem to, like Oppenheimer was, again, cinematically it was fantastic. But character-wise, it was really probably like a C+ on that one. And without seeing Napoleon, I can't really give it a grade or a 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 10 at this point, because I just, I haven't seen it all the way. But again, I know that the Joaquin Phoenix guy can really act, and when he really puts his mind to it, and I think if he has more latitude to really develop the character, I mean, look at what he did in Johnny Cash and Joker. That's all I'm going to say. That was just incredible. So anyway, so if you've seen it, let me know what you think. If you think I should go see it, let me know what you think. Anyway, okay. So last thing I want to talk about tonight, because actually tonight was the night. Yeah, 50 years ago. Well, tomorrow night will be the actual night, but this was the night that it all kind of gelled, if you will. And what am I talking about? 50 years ago tomorrow, I found myself at Uncle Sam's Misguided Children's Camp for Delinquents. That was me. Commonly referred to as the United States Marine Corps. Yes, sir. 50 years ago tomorrow night, I was I winged my way on a PSA airplane. PSA is Pacific Southwest, was not now Southwest Airlines, but PSA, those they had the little smiley face on it. Don't know if they still have that. No, I mean, I'm sure there's pictures. I'll put one up here. But anyway, yeah. So made my way down to San Diego. I was 17 years old. I had just turned 17 a few weeks prior, and my mom signed the paperwork. She said, "Is that what you really want to do?" And I said, "Yeah, Mom, I think I want to be a Marine." So on my way, and then tomorrow night will be 50 years to the night that I got off that bus and onto those yellow footprints, and as most people would say, my life changed forever. How many life-changing experiences can you name in your life? Now, I've had several, to be sure. Some were brought about through great calamity and catastrophe. It does seem like that's usually the ones that really change your life. And some were, yeah, actually even, I was going to say ordination was another biggie. But that also came through a lot of trial and strife. And I won't go into that one now, but maybe on at a later date I'll go through a little bit on anniversary there. But 50 years ago tomorrow night, December 6, 1973, 2 years after D.B. Cooper jumped out of an airplane, there's a guy named Dan Grider, and he believes that he figured out who D.B. Cooper really was, and he has some hard, convincing evidence to prove it. Not just he feels or he thinks, but he's got real evidence. And again, probably because it's not politically correct, you know, it doesn't fit the woke narrative. A lot of times people will completely ignore that, but I'll tell you what, it's a 2.5-hour video. If you're ever interested, maybe I'll put a link of it below. But it was, I really thought it was well done. And this guy is not only an aviator; he's a real pilot. He's flown small planes and commercial planes. He's a skydiver on top of that. So the guy has a lot of personal experience to really, you know, sum this up. But that's not the real kicker. He's got some evidence that is like, well, you know what? If it was a court of law, they would be a slam dunk for these people. They'd win. But anyway, so I digress a little bit. But anyway, so 1973, folks. That was a long time ago in my life. And a lot of water under the bridge. And I was a pretty naive kid, you know. Really, I really was a naive kid. It was like a deep, going into the deep end of the pool in icy water with sharks. I guess that's the best way to describe it. I just had no clue as what was waiting for me. You know, intellectually, I knew, yeah, I could say I knew it was going to be tough, and it was. You know, there were times I wondered how I was gonna, if I was even gonna make it through. Had some really interesting experiences, met some interesting people, from all over the country, met just a whole bunch of really interesting people. And to include the Marine drill instructors themselves. They were some pretty fascinating people to this day. And it's interesting to see that the Marine Corps still, again, I may not be, well, okay, the uniforms have changed, the weaponry has changed, but boot camp hasn't changed. It's still the same gut punch, you know, kicking the you-know-whats punch that it always has been. Man. But I you know, I really needed that discipline. I'm grateful that I got it. I'm grateful for the experience. It was literally, it was a transformative moment in my life. It changed the course of my my life in ways that I didn't even know later in life. It was all due to the Marine Corps. I remember for years after I got out of the Marine Corps, I worked at a lumber mill, which no longer exists, down in my hometown Auburn, 60 miles down the road, still there. But the lumber mill's completely gone. You'd never know it was there. It's kind of makes me kind of feel kind of, you know, sick inside, because, you know, there was a whole industry of people that went to work every day, and, you know, some people, you know, had some horrific accidents in that place, and it's all gone. I mean, there's nothing there to even say that it was there. It's just like, wow, kind of makes you feel really icky inside, and it's like, oh, I actually worked, but it's not that there is not there anymore. But anyway, so I was kind of, you know, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and I had dreams and desires and aspirations and, you know, thoughts of what I wanted to do with my life, but for the most part, things changed. And I just remember that if it hadn't been for the Marine Corps, I never would have had the opportunity to go to college, because a few years later, about 6-7 years later, I realized that I had the GI Bill and I could go to college on that. I think I was 23? Yeah, so it was about 5-6 years after I got out of the Marine Corps, and I found that I really liked college. I never thought I could go to college for lots of different personal reasons, and we won't go into that, but just like I just went through, I just kind of followed the little stepping stones. You know, it's like, oh, hey, I'm going to see where this takes me, kind of thing. You know, where some people would just say, forget it. I was curious enough to say, let me just see where it goes. Let me see where this leads. And I'll never forget, I was at it was kind of like a Denny's restaurant. I think they called it VIPs, VIP, you know, and it was kind of a knockoff of Denny's locally. And so they had pretty good food there. And I remember, you know, enjoying going there for a Sunday breakfast or maybe a Friday night burger or something like that, back in the days when I was younger. And I just remember one Sunday morning I saw a guy I'd known for quite a while, and he was in my youth group at the time. This is before I became a Catholic, but I was a Southern Baptist, and he was in the youth group, and he was kind of like the captain of the football team, and he was the real popular guy, and, you know, had all the girls and all that kind of stuff, really popular and nice looking and everything. And so anyway, but he since got married years earlier and was he had a family, he had like a wife and 2 little ones, and they were sitting in a booth, and you know, he recognized me, and I said, hey, and I saw him, and we just, you know, we never were had any animosity. We just weren't like, we didn't hang out together, but we weren't like, you know, enemies either. And so anyway, he goes, hey, what are you up to these days? And I said, oh, well, I'm going to college, you know, I'm going to Sierra. And he goes, oh yeah, I was going to college too, but I had to drop out. I said, you had to drop out? He goes, yeah, I have to make a living, got to support my family. And I said, oh, okay. He goes, how are you doing? How are you getting through college? And I said, come to think of it, it's because of the Marine Corps. Marine Corps? I go, yeah, remember I joined the Marine Corps several years ago, and well, I've been out now 3 years, and I discovered that I could go to college on the GI Bill. They said, you have a nice day now. Because at one time, when I got out of boot camp, you know, we went out for a Frosty and a burger and everything, and he just said, well, I don't know how to tell you this, you know, but that was probably one of the stupidest things you ever did, you know, joining the Marine Corps. Because, again, it wasn't popular, you know. The PC kids, the hip kids, the hip, slick, and cool kids, the woke kids, if you will, you know, it wasn't cool to be in the military, you know. But I listened to my own drummer, and I decided, well, I'm going to do what I want to do. and I did. And so, you know, here I am, you know, today. But it all started back 50 years ago when I decided I was going to join the Marine Corps. Now, that story, I'll tell you, I'll end it with this story here, because Well, I don't think I did anything truly illegal, and I think there's statute of limitations. And it probably wouldn't apply to me. It would probably be my recruiter, you know. But what happened was I got into, you know, I was really gung-ho as a teenage boy. And so I go down to the recruiting station. I used to hang out with those guys. Well, when I finally decided I was going into the Marine Corps, then I was kind of like an honorary assistant to the recruiter, you know. And his name was Sergeant Williams. And he was a good old boy from Tennessee. So anyway, everybody knew that I wanted to go in the military, but I was only a junior in high school, and my ASVAB score was not high enough. You know, it was like 2 or 3 points. I was like just right there, but just below the line. So to go in at 17, I had to have a higher score. And so we were going to wait another year, and then I was going to take this ASVAB again. I was studying to take it again, and you know, and then again, so I was going to pass it eventually, but it just wasn't there. So here we are. It's a dark winter night in December, and I'm sitting there in the recruiting office. I was doing some mailing, you know, stuff in envelopes with mailers, and sending them out on this mailing list. And I was in the little back there, and so anyway, Sergeant Williams was looking around, and he goes, "Man, I just need one more body to make quota." And I guess if he had made the quota, he was going to win some trip to Hawaii or something. And he was like, he really wanted this trip so he could take his wife and his kids on this holiday. And he just needed one. He goes, "I just need one more warm body, you know." So I go in, and he's at his desk, and I'm sitting on the side there just kind of watching him go through the files and everything. And he goes, "You got any friends in juvie? You know, juvenile hall?" I said, "No, Sergeant Williams, I sure don't." And he goes, "Well, you got any friends that want to join the Marine Corps?" And I said, "No, Sergeant Williams, I really don't." Because again, it was really unpopular, and most people weren't going to join the Marine Corps. Then even if they were high school graduates, they were going to do other things, you know. So finally he's sitting there and he's going, "I just need one more body. I just need one more warm body. I'll never forget this." And I'm just sitting there off to the side, you know, kind of watching him. And finally, he kind of goes, "What about you?" I said, "Remember, Sergeant Williams, my scores, my ASVAB scores are kind of low." And he goes, "Yeah, let me look at your file again." So he pulls out my file, and he's looking at my file and everything. And then all of a sudden, he gets this big old smile on his face. And he goes, "You know, for a junior, ASVAB score is like 2 points off. But for a senior, they're right on the money." And I said, "Yeah, Sergeant Williams, but guess what? I'm not a senior. I'm a junior." He goes, "But you know what you forgot to do, young man?" I said, "No." He says, "You forgot to put your year in high school down. Congratulations, you're now a senior." He put 12 instead of, you know. I went, "What?" And he goes, "Okay, that's done." And before I knew it, this little sleight of hand, you know, got me to where I could, you know, legally join the Marine Corps. So we had the doctor who was the actual doctor for the reserve unit in Sacramento. He had a practice in Auburn, orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Isdale. And so he drove me over there, and I got the physical that night. And then Sergeant Williams, as I was getting the physical, he drew up the contract, took it with me and to my mom, and my mom said, "Is this what you really want to do?" And I said, "Yeah, I think so." So she signed it. She goes, "Okay, I'll sign it." But she was like, "I sure hope you know what you're doing." And so I spent the night at one of my buddies' house, and he was also a cool kid, you know, and we played in the band together. And anyway, long story short, and the next morning, it took me down to Sacramento, kind of a foggy, dreary day. Got to Old Sac Airport and got on that plane about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Got down to San Diego probably about 5:30, and Bob's your uncle. The rest is history. And we got on that bus, and oh man, the moment that bus drove up and that first drill instructor came on the bus, it's just like if you've ever seen any of these videos about boot camp, even Full Metal Jacket in many ways. That movie, I have to be careful because it is so realistic, and I'm even more impressed with Stanley Kubrick because he actually recreated those squad bays. Now, I guess he did do some filming at MCRD, Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, on a few shots, a few external shots, but he basically replicated those squad bays. And when I saw those, I thought, man, how did they let him shoot the movie in those squad bays? I'm surprised they'd let him do that. But his attention to detail was so incredibly, so focused that I didn't know that that was a movie set. That was an actual, but it looked exactly the way I remember the squad bay in when I was a young Marine recruit. Too real. And there were a lot of things in that movie that unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, at least in my memory, fortunately in my memory I remember, but there were a lot of similar. Now I didn't get the walloping that, you know, Private Pyle got. I was not that dyslexic, I guess, or that slow. I got in trouble for running my mouth a couple of times. Talking, I love to talk. No big surprise there, you know, but every now and then I'd be, you know, maybe feeling a little bit good, and I'd be talking to somebody and they'd come right, oh man. You know, there were some interesting moments because of my mouth. Yeah. But anyway, I graduated recruit training, platoon 3119. I was a third herder, you know, and yeah, it was, I mean, I look back on it now and I don't look at it as like, oh, it was wonderful, like, oh, you know, going to Marine land. It's not like that, but it was a grueling gut punch that I am grateful that I was able to experience that. And it literally, it helped me later in life with a lot of things. You know, now there are some things I wish I could say that I wish I could have, you know, learned all of my big lessons and didn't have to keep making some mistakes, you know, kind of like the drinking thing. Like I didn't drink in the Marine Corps or the military. I just never was a drinker. And which was good because it would have, well, I take that back. There was, you know, unfortunately, it's not exactly 100% true. When I went through chaplain candidate school in the Navy, this is before my Army experience. When I was in the Army, I was completely stone cold sober. Grateful for that because I would have, oh man, that would have been a horrendous thing. But unfortunately, I was still in seminary. It's my last year in seminary, and we got a chance to go to Navy chaplain candidate training in San Diego. Get to go back, and I got to go back to MCRD as an officer, a Navy officer, and I had those Marine DIs saluting me. I tell you what. That was pretty awesome. There was one time I was marching the chaplain candidates because I got to do it because I knew how to do it. And this DI comes up and he pops a Marine Corps salute and I pop it right back, you know, and it was just like, man, I was living large then, you know, it's kind of cool. But anyway, but it definitely was a real turning point for me joining the Marine Corps 50 years ago, and I just wanted to get on here and share that with y'all, and kind of, you know, foist a pipe in honor of the Marine Corps. Yep. If I can light my pipe. And so, yeah, and I guess one of the things I kind of like about the Marine Corps is all the other services are kind of really into the woke stuff, and the Marine Corps is being forced to go that way, but they're going to do it kicking and screaming and dragging their feet. Kind of like me. So, once a Marine, always a Marine. Maybe not as lean, maybe not as green, but still a U.S. Marine. Thanks for watching, folks, and we'll see you in the next one coming up real soon.